What's going on, YouTubers, gamers and hobbyists? Welcome to P&Q, my question and answer series, where you get to ask me questions or put comments to me, and then I respond to you the following week. Now you can do this now this has changed. You can do this one of 5 ways. Now there are 5 ways to comment or ask me questions. The first way, which is obviously the most popular, which I will go with. Let me just move the camera slightly. That's better. The first way, pop your comments or questions down below in the comments section. That is the most popular way of doing it, so yeah, we'll do that. Or you can email me at miniwarzone@gmail.com. There'll be a link in the video description below, so look out for that one. Or if you make a video yourself and I happen to see it and pick it up and it's an interesting topic or question, whatever, I'll answer that here too. Or if we meet in person and you ask me or talk to me about something and I find it interesting, again, we'll deal with that here as well. And lastly, which I never thought of until recently, of course, there's social media. There's Twitter, there's Instagram, there's Facebook, as well as YouTube. So, and there's other ones, but that's the ones I am on. So, yeah, at least at the moment. Now, I have a few questions here, and I obviously have the questions from last week, but I also got an email and a video that was left on one of my other videos, not P&Q, but I thought it was an interesting question, so I'll answer that here too. So I'm going to go with the minority first, which is the email, the other video, and the video question. So starting with the email, it says, "Hi Pete, I have to say that I like your YouTube, and you have a great aspect on camera. I was wondering what prompted you to begin a series on board games, however. I do think it's a nice idea, but just wondered why. Many thanks, etc, etc. Okay, why did I do that? Well, I did want to do it anyway, but I think it started because I was running out of finances to buy like new models and things to try and keep things going for the channel, as it were. So financially, it's a big reason for that. And I thought, well, I like board games too. I'd like to cover them at some point, and I just thought it would be interesting. And I have a lot of them, so make use of what you've got, Pete. That's what I thought. So that was my reasoning behind that. But I do have to say, it is something I wanted to do anyway. I just enjoy doing it and talking about it, and it brings back such wonderful memories for me, particularly like the old games and stuff like that. So yeah, that is the reason why I started my series on board games. Thank you for your email. Okay, now I have a question from Rocky's War Room. This was posted on one of my airbrushing videos. I'm not sure which video it was, I can't remember, but it is on one of them. And he said, "Do you use a spray booth at all?" I'll just have a sip of coffee a moment. Black coffee. You can see that? Black coffee. Yeah, he says, "Do you use a spray booth at all?" No, I don't. I know a lot of people do, and some people don't. And the main reason I don't, I suppose, is because I don't. Well, for one, I don't do an awful lot of airbrush work. Not enough for me at the moment, at this stage, to invest in a spray before build one or whatever else. That's one reason. The other reason is, what I don't like about them is, and I know this can't be helped, is you're in the spray booth and you've got an extractor sucking the fumes out, while I'm here trying to spray onto a model. Well, the extraction is going to maneuver the line of my spray, and I'm not good enough yet to compensate for that. So that's another reason why I prefer to spray raw. I will do it in a area that is ventilated, but not in a confined area that has the ventilation going, because it's going to maneuver my spray pattern, and I just can't take that risk. That said, of course, it's not a good idea to do a lot of spray airbrushing without some form of extraction. I mean, I do wear a mask to try and cut that down, because also that stops my breath interfering with the spray pattern as well. So I don't use a spray booth. When we move, it might be something I'll look at, possibly, but until then, no. But yeah, and that's my reason. Everybody makes the decision for themselves, I think. It's up to you if you want to, if you feel you're taking a big risk or not. I feel for the amount I spray, which isn't a lot, I feel it's not as big of a risk to me. Whether that's a wrong view or not, I don't know. But it's not going to change the fact of the matter that I don't use a spray booth, and I'm not intending to, not for the near future at least. Thank you for your question, Rocky's War Room. Nice to have you on the question train there. That was good. Right, next. I don't know how to go through the questions that were left on last week's video. Come back to the video question, or you do the video question now. I think I'll do the video question now. It's from WASD20. Now, some of you watch his channel, I'm sure. Nate, he's got an amazing channel on D&D and RPG games in general. I think it's a brilliant channel, absolutely brilliant. And if I remember, I'll put a link to it in my video description below. Now, recently, he's done, for the second year in a row, he's a teacher, you see. And every year, for the last 2 years, he runs classes on D&D and RPGs, because I suppose it's akin to, in the UK, what would be like our activities week, where you can do activities, where we used to do things like, you could do like cycling, rock climbing, swimming, art, and I always used to choose computers and computing. I always used to say, well, yes, I want to learn about computing, but really it was just an excuse to go into school and play computer video games all day, basically. We had to learn some basic programming and stuff like that, but I don't know any of us whose main motivation wasn't to just go in and play games all day. But that aside, what Nate is doing is he's introducing D&D to a group of students in his school for these 2 weeks that they enroll in his classes, and he takes them through everything from character creation to DMing to like building maps, and the whole thing about in the history of it all. And they get homework and everything, and it's really good. It's a way of getting students to interact with one another, build their confidence. There's so many. I mean, I'm not going to go into all the specifics and advantages that I think are prevalent in games and gaming and getting together with friends and whatever. But now here's the thing. Nate works in a predominantly Christian school, and he's been called out a couple of times. I mean, I know a lot of Christians have a pretty dim view of D&D and role-playing. They think it has, they call it into question, links to paganism and occultism and all that kind of stuff, and they have a very dim view of it. There's quite a negative view, and I think that's largely down to a lack of knowledge, which Nate is trying to provide here. But he raised the question and the topic of what is Christianity's take on violence in games and D&D, and because it has such a stigma, and it had a stigma when I was at school myself. Now, when I was at school, we had a D&D club that was formed, and I was part of that. We were accused once of being devil worshippers and stuff like that. It's just crazy. We're playing a game. But what is Christianity's take on it? Now, I asked my vicar this very question, or one of my vicars. I'm going to be asking several of them so that I can get different answers here, and at the end of the day, the short answer that he gave me was he doesn't know. But I mean, I wanted to give you a more qualified answer to this. But the thing is, my argument would be for this. Well, it's escapism. Yes, it is escapism. And how is it any different from, say, watching movies, like, or reading books, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, all that kind of stuff? How is it any different? It isn't, really. I don't think so, anyway. Yes, we're taking on the, personas of characters and we're acting them out. But at the end of the day, it is escapism, and it's difficult, I think, for Christianity to say. I think it's an unfair question. Not that Nate was being unfair, but it is an unfair question, really, to say, what is Christianity's take on it? Because the church has such divisions within its own kind of house. Do you know what I mean? You got Catholicism and different other churches and things like that, and they all have a slightly different viewpoint, and within those areas you're going to have people that have different views. You're going to have, and I've met them all at some point, you're going to have people who view it with suspicion and negativity, and you're going to have others which embrace it wholeheartedly. I mean, there are thousands and thousands of Christians who play D&D, myself being one of them. But it is a very, very interesting topic, particularly when you bring it up in a church and ask a vicar, because this is frowned upon by certain Christians. I mean, I could see why some religious figureheads would have a problem with it because of the links to the occult and all that kind of stuff, and it purely is fear through ignorance. I think that's my take on it. Fear through ignorance. It's like saying, is it morally wrong to play Germans in a game of bolt action and get excited at the prospect of beating the English, say, your opponent who's playing English, and get excited and cheer on the German? Is that morally wrong? Is it good that you're asking the question? Is it irrelevant? I mean, at the end of the day, I say I'm not qualified to answer it, really, but I wanted to give you a response. My own personal take is it's a game and it's escapism and it's enjoyed by millions. It doesn't make you a good or a bad person, does it, playing a game? No more than watching a movie does or reading a book. So, escapism takes many forms. And as long as you're not harming anybody else, I don't see that there would be a problem. It's not like you're actually trying to conjure up demons and all that kind of stuff. So, that's my take on it, Nate. And, it is a shame that it's got such a stigma. Still to this day, it doesn't seem to have moved on from the time I was at school, even. So, and that is a great shame. It really is. I don't. I think it is good that there are people such as yourself who are promoting it, particularly in school. That is brilliant, and you have such a cool structure of it. Anybody, I recommend go and watch his videos. On his D&D vlogs that he does, where he runs it in school. It's one of the more. I think there's 5 or 6 videos in each series. He's done the latest ones and he's put them up on his channel now, so go and check it out. If I do remember, I'll leave a link up there to his channel, but like I say, I'll definitely put a link in the video description below, because it is, I think, a interesting topic. But go and check him out if you like D&D or RPGs in general. Great one, nice one. So moving on, let's next page. And Super Wargamer is next. Right, so I'm going to need a sip of coffee for this one. Last week I was talking about Star Wars, wasn't I? He says, Star Wars died for me with The Feminist Awakes. Sad face. How I miss the good old days when the films had a good story and plot. Yes, I can't remember what the rest of my questions are. There may be some more references to Star Wars, and I started to go on a bit of a rant about it there, and that's not what P&Q is about. But I stopped myself just in time, I think. And I'm not going to do it in there again. There's no point. I've covered that, and it'll be covering old ground. So yes, it is a shame, and I do remember days. I miss the days when films had a good story and plot, and sometimes some films do now, but the majority of them, I feel, tend to go for the visual excitement, or the political message that they want to get across, which is a shame. But yeah, for me, Star Wars will be, episodes 1 through to 6. So that's Star Wars for me. And they made no more. Right, Basic Miniature Painting says, really cool P&Q, Pete. I'll think of a question and email you. Well, I couldn't see any in my emails. But it's very, very likely that you probably got caught up with something else. But that's fine. Just email me whenever, mate. It's emails are open 24/7, are they not? Right. Well, next is Frost and Fists. It says, great episode as always, Pete. Aside from the 15 minutes of Star Wars bashing at the end, tongue in cheek. With this in mind, my brother, I have a challenge question for next week. Uh-oh. Can you name 3 things, games, movies, etc., that you think is better now than the original? While I'm fairly sure that the new Star Wars and new Indiana Jones won't make the list, perhaps you'll think of a few good examples. Take care, my brother. Wow, 3 things that is better now than the original. Better now than the original. Better. Well, you're correct in assuming I won't be naming Star Wars or Indiana Jones for that matter. No, I won't. I'll say for a movie, it's not a very good movie, but I do think it's better than the original. I'll say Spider-Man: Homecoming is better than the original Tobey Maguire ones. But it's got a lot of faults. Has a lot of faults. I'm not going to go into a rant about it now. So that would cover the movie. So that's 1. What a game! Better now than the original. Better now than the original. I don't know. A lot of them aren't, I feel. With games, I've been out of the video game scene for so many years. Since the 90s, really. And I am sure that any remake of a game would be better now than its original. It would have to be, I think. I mean, I don't know. I remember the original Resident Evil, for example, on the PlayStation 1, and I loved that game. I absolutely loved it. I thought Resident Evil 2 was even better. And 3 was better again. I loved the way they did that. And I haven't played any beyond... Oh, no, I have. I played 4, I think. I don't think that was quite so good. But I reckon with technology today, I'm sure that the latest, if it's still going, and I'm sure it is, Resident Evil would be better than the original. So that would be my second one. And that covers a game. Is there anything else better now than the original? Wow, it's difficult, because the majority of times the original feels best, and I think it's more a case of the memories of where I was and what I was doing at the time the original came out, whatever it may have been, and who I was with. And I think that influences a person. You know, if, say it's a movie, and then they do, and you know, you remember it with fond memories, and you also remember who you saw it with, who else was, you know, buzzed and talking about it at the time, and you know, if you were a kid at school and so on, and just really really hyped for it. And I think that adds a lot to the nostalgic euphoria of what you're remembering. Take old computer games, Jet Set Willy on the Spectrum. Oh, I loved that game. I loved it. If they was to do it now, it wouldn't have any nostalgia, because there wouldn't be anyone around that I'd be as excited about it for, you know, with. Like, you talk about it all the time at school and stuff like that. I mean, computers are obviously better now than they were when they originally came out. So I'll say computers as my third example. Home computers, you've got PCs and Macs now, which obviously supersede like the old 8-bit machines and that were of its day. But it doesn't have the nostalgic excitement. I can remember being in school arguing. There was a whole bunch of us, a bunch of friends. We'd go up on the school field over dinner time and we'd argue about which computer system was best. And we all had different ones. So obviously we were all fighting our own corners, so to speak, really. And the big argument of the school playground was, which is better, the Commodore 64 or the Spectrum 48K? You know, it's just... And there were... you know, pluses and minuses on each side, really. We had some really good, cracking arguments about it. So that's what I will say. Yeah, so Spider-Man, Resident Evil, because I'm sure it would be better, and computers in general. Probably not very good answers, but I can't think of anything more specific. I'm sorry. Sorry to say. But thank you, Wolf Brother Meeples. Thank you for your question. Whew, that's that one. Right, how are we doing for time? 22 minutes. Right. Spider666 is next. He says, I got fed up with Star Wars with the 3 sequels. Thank God for Star Trek. Always been awesome. Well, there I have to disagree with you. On 2 counts. Well, I think episodes... Let's talk about Star Wars first. Episodes 1 to 3. 3 in particular. I mean, Revenge of the Sith, we'll take that as an example. And I know this is taking one part of it, but Revenge of the Sith has the best lightsaber fighting of any of the Star Wars movies, hands down. They've not been able to best that. Their fight scenes in general were awesome. People moaned about Hayden Christensen being moody and sullen, but that was the character he was portraying. Anakin was supposed to be that way, so he was doing as he was directed, really. I felt the stories were quite good. Possibly slightly too much humour, but I suppose, but I did feel, well, they're for kids more of a younger generation, not adults, and that's fine too. And I felt the stories were well written. I had no problem with the dialogue, none at all. They were Star Wars. And Star Trek, well, the new Star Trek movies with Chris Pine and all that, I didn't feel like Star Trek to me. Now, I was highly dubious about the new Star Trek series. Is it Discovery or whatever? Or whatever it's called, I can't remember. But when I started watching that, I got into it, and I do enjoy that. But the movies, I wasn't a fan of the new ones. I felt the new Spock was quite good, though. He portrayed a good version of Spock, but in general, I just didn't like it. Didn't like him at all. For me, Star Trek will be Kirk and Picard, so that's what I'm stuck in. But yeah, thanks for commenting. Thank you. Right, Crunch Lasilicus says, another great P&Q, and sorry to hear about the attitude you're getting or have received from people. It's an interesting thought with the materialistic people and the value people hold with that versus the overall enjoyment of the hobby. I've not seen The Last Jedi as yet, and with your overview, I'm in no rush to either. With that in mind, question for next time. Rank the Star Wars films from best to worst. Keep up the great work. Well, the first part of that, I had a bit of a irritated moment on Facebook a few weeks ago, and late one night I decided to air my frustration on a few people. Well, I was talking about a few people. I was being as generalistic as I could. It was aimed at a few people, one in particular, but there is a few of them. And so I did that, and thank you to everyone. I didn't do it for attention, I promise, but I was quite overwhelmed by the support I had from everybody, and that made me feel good, you know. I felt good again, so that worked. As for, and I wouldn't rush to see The Last Jedi if I was you either. Wait for, till you see it on like DVD or Netflix or whatever you can watch it on, Star Wars, from best to worst. Well, for me, the best film is Empire Strikes Back, hands down. Empire Strikes Back, A New Hope, Return of the Jedi, Phantom Menace, I did like that, and Revenge of the Sith and Attack of the Clones. The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. I'm not going to put Rogue One in there because it's a spin-off, and I enjoyed Rogue One. By the way, Rogue One, good Star Wars movie, felt like Star Wars, and yeah, thumbs up. Did a good job with that. How they got a whole movie out of one line, really, was brilliant. But yes, so there you go. So the original three in that order: Empire, New Hope, and Return of the Jedi. Phantom Menace, it has more of a classic feel, a feeling of appeal to it as well. That's more because that was the first time seeing Jedi as I always wanted to see them. Oh wow, that's what they're like. That's how I imagined them to be, and I felt Darth Maul was great as a great villain. Pity he died there. Well, he didn't actually die, did he? And he is actually alive if you look at certain canon. Be cool if they brought him back, but yeah. Yeah, that's my answer. Great question. Thank you very much. Right. Okay. Only got 2 more left, so we're nearly there. Black Country Wargamer is next. He says, if you could play any character from a TV show, old, long since cancelled, or new, who would it be? A character from a TV show. TV show. I wouldn't mind playing Monkey from the old TV series Monkey Magic. Remember that? Monkey! Great. Loved it. It was out at the same time, sort of time as like the Water Margin. No, I thought he was a great character. Used to play him in the playground a lot, although we always used to argue over who would get to play Monkey. Yeah, so that's my answer for that one. Monkey. Cool. Last question then. It could be a 40k. Says, nice answers, Pete. Sorry to hear about your disappointment at the end. I have a question like that to answer in my next Q&A. It seems like many disliked The Last Jedi. Do you think this will have an impact on the popularity of the new Star Wars Legion game? No, I don't think it will have any impact on that. Because I think people will take that game and other games as well, which which have gone before or come after, and they will put their love of what they feel Star Wars is into those games. I don't think it will have an impact on the popularity. May even help it. I don't know, but I don't think it will. I don't think it will make it bad for it. If nothing else, it's talked about, and that's all you need, really. And that's my questions. Thank you very much for your question there, Nick. Well, I better just drain this. There is a clock ticking in the background, but my microphone I may be able to take it out a little bit, maybe if I mess around with the settings. Yeah, this is kind of a bit of a experiment, really. I want to interview Mrs. Mini Warzone here, and I've got another project I wish to do here as well. So that'll be coming up at some point. Well, the other project won't be on my channel, at least not this channel, because that's for something else entirely, and I don't want that to be linked with this one. But the setup is what I'm experimenting with here. Not that it looks much different to you right now, but yeah, my microphone's here, but when I interview my wife, I'll probably be back here. Probably get another table, put that in front, because we might want to have a coffee ourselves while I do the interview. So yeah, I just realised I could have taken the microphone with me there because it's long enough cable. Oh well. Right, nearly there, folks. Yeah. So there we go. Thanks for your questions. Keep them rolling in. I love answering them. My favourite series to do. And yeah, sometimes I try and do something different. Who knows what the future will bring? I don't know. But don't forget, you can pop your questions down below, email me, make a video, ask me in person or on social media. I'll try and keep a record of all the questions, comments I get that are relevant to this series, and I'll answer them here. So thanks very much for watching. Remember, all brushes lead to war. Get ready for the stop. And bye for now. Bye bye.